I believe I'm live, darling. I believe I'm live. Let's check. Double check. Let's see if we're on that flex. The flex of live. Okay, great. We are live. We are live, darling. We are live. Okay, one moment. I'll be back. I'm just gonna get my tripod. Because I'm also going to go live on Instagram. So if you are watching, I don't know, I can't see if anyone's actually on here. If you are watching, hello, it's great to see you. If you have anything that you desire to say off of the back of what I'm sharing, I'm going to get back to them in the comments. You'll see in the comments, there should be a pinned comment that if you watch this video, one moment, trying to do two things at once. Add a title. Self-leadership is the new job security. Okay, cool. So we are going to go live. Going to, I don't, that's, do. Okay, great. Right, you know what? Because it would be great if I could see. We can go from there. Okay, great. Okay, so, and I can't even see it, but that's okay. I'm like, okay, that's good. That's good. We can do this, darling. We can do this. All right. So yeah, if you're currently watching and you have any questions while you're watching, please pop them in the comments, either here or on Instagram. If you're watching on Instagram, hello. Yeah, I get back to them. However, I cannot see them right now. I'm just going to be in the flow. And you'll see in the pinned comment in here in Facebook, there's going to be a link to join the Wealth Frequency Shift. And up until midnight tonight, Bali time, which is in just under 4 hours, you have the chance to lock in at 50% off the membership rate for life, for the life of your membership. So that link's there. And if you haven't yet watched the Regenerative Wealth Path, which goes into our business model much deeper, the link is also there. This is simply framing the new way and the new economy on today's call. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to share my screen. I've created a presentation. So here is my shared screen. Amazing. So today, what we're going to be doing is bridging something very important, because if we're being completely honest with ourselves and with each other, we have not been taught to lead ourselves. The way that the system has been set up in a way where we have been trained to be good employees, to be good citizens, to follow in line, to outsource our authority, and to essentially not think for ourselves. And this suits the system, it suits being an employee. However, for when it comes to leading ourselves and when it comes to creating the reality that we actually really truly want, it's not effective. So personal growth and economics are no longer separate conversations. For us to really truly shift things in our economy in a way where we are no longer in the position to be controlled or manipulated, we must be working on ourselves. And ultimately, we must learn how to make money work for us in this new economy, away from the industrialized system. The world we're moving into rewards people who can lead themselves, not just follow instructions. And leading themselves spans every single area of our lives, not just within business, but within our relationships and within our communities. And most importantly, in our day-to-day, when it comes to looking after ourselves in all of the ways so we can live at our optimal. For decades, job security came from external structures. And it worked for a while. It worked for past generations. However, with the way that the economy has moved and the way that inflation has risen, where salary hasn't, and AI has come into play and tech has come into play, it's just not sustainable anymore. And now security comes from internal capability. So it's being able to hold everything that comes our way, the good, the bad, the happy, and the sad, the success, the failures, being able to hold it and being able to effectively move through it so we can overcome and rise above. And this really all comes down, yes, to self-leadership and also strengthening our personal power as well. So the old model of security used to come from external systems. It used to come from jobs and salaries and long-term contracts and pensions, predictable career ladders, and the loyalty that we gave to these companies was rewarded. If you stayed loyal to a company, the company was expected to stay loyal to you. And we don't see that anymore at all. I personally was made redundant back in 2018. And for me, that was the best thing that could have happened to me because I'd already started my business. So I already had something to fall back on. However, this is not the reality for the majority of people. And the fact of the matter is that model with job security and long-term contracts worked during the industrial expansion when corporations were built for long-term stability, but things are so much different now. Today, corporations optimize for efficiency, automation, and shareholder return. They don't care for the people. In actual fact, the people are just a number to them. They don't take time to get to know the people and to get to know their families. So loyalty is no longer the operating system for this type of system at all. The new definition of security is adaptability, skill leverage, multiple income streams, network strength, and self-leadership. It now comes from who you are and how you operate. So the questions that you get to ask yourself are, can you adapt? In any situation, can you adapt? Can you learn new skills quickly? Can you build relationships and networks? Can you lead yourself through uncertainty? Because this is why personal development is no longer optional. These are skills that are needed in today's age, in today's economy, for us to truly thrive in the way that we desire to. So personal growth and spiritual growth, this is an economic advantage, and there is no alternative. This is a definite. We need to be doing this. Emotional regulation is a wealth skill. Now, this might sound surprising to you, but it's a financial skill. To be able to regulate your finances is what's going to enable you to effectively grow your finances. Because the fact of the matter is, people who panic make poor decisions because they're in that chaos and that whirlwind of the emotions. They're operating from fear and from lack and from scarcity. And the intention is to raise our frequency away from those lower vibrational frequencies so we make better decisions from a grounded regulation. People who react emotionally tend to sabotage opportunities because they're reacting without thinking. They're coming from ego, again, fear, lack, and scarcity. They're coming from old stories rather than being able to look at the patterns and to understand how to regulate themselves and to understand how to respond in a way that's beneficial, not only for themselves, but for all parties involved. Building something, whether it be a business or a life, relationships, communities, this requires stability under pressure. And this isn't something that we naturally have. This is something that we have to learn. And again, we haven't been taught this. So it's really important that we initiate ourselves and teach ourselves this, as well as learn from people who have walked the road before us. Emotional regulation allows you to think long term, while others react short term. And this is where this is where we raise the bar and we raise the standard for ourselves, is when we think long term, is when we start to put our focus on the long term. And again, this is another way that we have been programmed. We have been programmed to think about the short term, the next paycheck, getting things quick, instant gratification. This is not beneficial for us. Because to create something lasting, to create something worthwhile, we have to be thinking about the long term. And now the long term, it isn't outside of us. It's within us. We create it within us, and that reflects without us. So motivation fades and devotion compounds. A lot of people use the word discipline. I prefer to use the word devotion because this is what has personally enabled me to show up in a more loving way for myself. And I'd rather be devoted than disciplined, because for me, devotion comes from the heart. I'm devoting myself to myself. I'm devoting myself to my vision, to my mission, to my vision, to my vision again. I'm devoting myself to a greater good. I'm devoting myself to service, to being of service to the people in my life. Motivation is temporary. It comes when our mood is high, when we're happy, when we have good energy. Whereas devotion is structural. It's thinking long term. It's okay, well, I know I desire to create this. And to create this, I must be this person. And for me to be this person, it means that I must show up in this, and this way. And that's different for every single person. And this is why it's very important to get to know ourselves on a very deep level, which is the journey that you go on with me when you join the Wealth Frequency Shift, when you join any of my containers. Because yes, we are thinking long term in respects to creating the visions that we see in our mind's eye and feel in our heart, and joining a grander mission of true health, true freedom, and sovereignty. However, it's much deeper than that. It's a whole identity shift over and over and over again as we step into self-leadership, as we step into leadership, as we become role models for those who are looking for support from people who have gone before them. And this is essentially the people that we are becoming. We are leading ourselves towards what it is that we want. And then when we get what we want, we're supporting others in leading themselves. So there's structure behind this devotion. Anyone can feel motivated for a week, anyone. But building wealth, especially through entrepreneurship or ownership models, this requires consistency. And everyone's version of consistency is different. And again, this is why it's very important for us to get to know ourselves and the way we work best, the way that we work optimally. This is why we must look after ourselves in all of the ways, in everything that we're consuming, mind, body, and soul. Very important, because what we consume, we are. They say you are what you eat, and it actually goes much deeper than that, because what you eat isn't just through what goes in your mouth. It's what you see, it's what you hear, it's what you think, it's what you tolerate, it's what you speak about. It's not just what you eat through your mouth, it's everything else. It's what you consume. And when it comes to devotion, this is what keeps you moving when the excitement fades. I've been on my journey for 8.5 years, and I can tell you it has not been easy in the slightest. I have been pushed to the edges in every single which way, every single which way. And there have been times where I've been quite literally at my bottom. I've been walking this path on my own. I haven't had anyone to go to. I haven't had anyone who has understood. Yet I've kept going because I've been devoted to the mission and to the vision, and because I've anchored deeply into my why, and I've deeply got to know myself. And this is what supports bringing up the excitement, because when I'm going through the tough times, when I'm going through the hard times, I focus on the vision, I focus on the mission. And this is what enables the excitement to bubble up because I know what I'm moving towards. It's one of the most underestimated wealth skills is devotion. And like I said, maybe you can connect it to discipline. I personally like devotion. It's a bit more feminine. It's a bit more heart-centered. Discipline's a bit more, it's not really, I'm like, kind of shy away from that word. But devotion, yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. So income follows identity. I've already mentioned identity shifts. It's the way that you perceive yourself, your standards, your personal responsibility, and your leadership mindset. Most people try to change their income without changing their identity. They think that they're going to get more money and more success if their identity stays the same, if they don't change anything. No, that's not the case because you are a current frequency match for what you've got. So if you desire to live a higher frequency life, to have higher frequency experiences, higher frequency relationships, higher frequency success, then you must raise your frequency. You must shift your identity to the frequency that meets the frequency that you're calling in. So the way that you see yourself determines on how you behave. How do you talk to yourself? What story do you tell about yourself and your past and your life and your future and what you're capable of? Leaders make decisions. They make different decisions than employees. Leaders act from a different level. Leaders have a different type of authority, and it's not an authority in the sense of hierarchical authority. I'm higher than you, I'm better than you. No, that's not a leader. That's a boss. That's a manager. That's someone that has huge ego trips that need to be knocked down a peg. However, leaders, they make decisions from authority, from a sense of, I know why I'm here, I know where we're going, and I know how I can support you in the best way for you. They make different decisions on how to approach whatever's given to them. Employees, their decisions are based off what they're told. And leaders, self-leaders and leaders are what are going to shape this new world, this new economy. And it's now more important than ever for every single one of us to step into self-leadership, not only in the creation of the life that we desire and the happiness and the health and the wealth and the safety and the security and the nourishment and anything else that you can think of, but also in the creation for a better world for our children. Because the more we focus on this, the more we focus on creating better for ourselves, ultimately that ripples out because it's all a frequency thing. And the more we raise our frequency, the more that positively affects other people because frequency is transmissible. I'm sure you can relate to this when you've been around someone who has a high level, a higher vibrational energy and frequency, and they just have this light around them. When you've been around them, they've made you feel better. That's proof of energy transference. So when we do that ourselves as individuals, we're benefiting the world as a whole, and we're ultimately supporting other people's awakening and other people's healing in that sense. This is the importance of this work. Builders make different decisions than consumers. Consumers are typically lazy and they stay comfortable within themselves. And they're just consuming, taking. A lot of the time, very entitled and very led by their ego. Whereas builders create. Builders think innovatively. Builders give back. Builders serve. And through this energy transference that the builders have, ultimately, through the laws of the universe, this beautifully comes back to them. You'll notice the people who continue to consume, take, they're unfulfilled, they're unhappy because they're not getting what they want, because they're continuing to take and they're not serving and they're not giving energy out, they're just taking energy out. So this is what the universe is meeting them at. Whereas if we're building, if we're giving, if we're creating, if we're sharing, that's a whole different level. And that ultimately circulates back round to us. So when your identity shifts, your actions change. And ultimately, income tends to follow, because income and money, it's simply energy. And the more we give, the more we receive, not just in money, but in energy, in attention, in love, in kindness. This is the identity we get to step into in the creation of a better world. So your frequency is essentially your behavior patterns, okay? Your thought patterns, your emotional baseline, your decision habits, and your daily actions. When I talk about frequency, I'm not talking about something mystical and woo-woo and out there. It's very grounded. Frequency simply means your baseline patterns. How are you operating on a daily basis? How are you moving? How are you being? How are you doing? What are you doing? What are your thinking patterns? What are your emotional patterns? What are your behavioral patterns? How are you showing up in your daily life, in your daily routine, in your work environment, in the creation of the vision that you desire, in the creation of the relationships that you desire, in the creation of the person that you desire to become, should I say? How are you showing up? Because these patterns determine your decisions, and decisions determine your outcomes. The reason you are where you are right now is because of the decisions that you've been making over the last 5 years. This sometimes can be very confronting, but it's true. And if you can create your current experience of where you are now simply because of the identity that you had previously, then you can shift where you're going by shifting your identity. It's very simple. It's not necessarily easy. And this is why it's very important for us to be within community with people that get it, that understand, that have walked before us, that are walking with us. Because if we haven't got support around us, it's very easy to fall back into old patterns. Your internal state is the driver in your relationships, your opportunities, your leadership capacity, and your financial outcomes. People often try to fix and control the external world first. They try and change other people, change other things. And yeah, sometimes that supports, for instance, when we change our environment, whether or not we completely move environments or whether we shift our living space, that really supports. But why does that support? Because that supports a better feeling within our internal world. And this is where it's at. It's our internal state. That's what determines how we show up. So it's really important that we work on our internal state. And I call it looking in the mirror to refine and to shift things and to shift our frequency, looking in the mirror of life to see where we get to shift ourselves. Because by shifting our internal state and determining how we show up through shifting our internal state, this determines the opportunities that we recognize. It determines the quality of people that we attract into our lives, the kinds of conversations that we have. And it determines whether we build something meaningful or we stay stuck looping in the same old reality. When we don't notice our patterns, when we don't recognize and take ownership and accountability for the part that we're playing and for the internal alchemy that we get to do to shift things, then we're going to stay stuck. And you're here because you don't want to stay stuck. So this is one of the most important aspects of this work, is shifting your internal state. Self-leadership is what creates collective impact. When we take personal responsibility, when we ethically make decisions, when we focus on building community, and when we focus on creating value for the people in our lives, for the communities that we are a part of, this is what creates collective impact. It's not just about personal success. Yes, when we lead ourselves towards what it is that we desire out of our lives, yeah, we create the personal success that we desire. However, it's very empty if we're not doing it in service to a greater good. When people take responsibility for themselves, they stop waiting for systems and other people to save them. What they do is they build businesses, they build communities, they create value. And that's how the world actually improves, by us stepping into our power and coming back to our medicine and our magic in what we can offer the world and the beauty that we can give to the world, that we can create in the way that we can serve. This is how we create better, not only for ourselves, but for the collective. So this is why most people stay stuck. It's because of their comfort addiction, their fear of uncertainty, external validation, they're waiting for permission, and they've got a lack of self-trust within them. And something really interesting happens during times of change. Most people can see that things aren't working right now. And they've been seeing that since 2020, but still they're not moving. They're not moving. Why? Why are they not moving? Because the human nervous system is wired for familiarity over growth. Even when we're in uncomfortable situations, because our nervous system's used to it, it feels safe because that's what the nervous system knows. So even if the familiar system is failing, people stay in jobs they hate. They stay in financial structures that limit them, and they stay in identities that are too small for them. Not because they're incapable, but because uncertainty triggers fear. And people like to run from fear rather than run directly to it. Self-leadership means learning to move before the majority does. It means going first. It means finding the way so we can show others the way. Community is the new currency. This is the new way forward. And in actual fact, this is why they've been doing everything that they can, the ones that have been controlling this globe for centuries. They've been doing everything that they can to segregate communities and to separate us from one another because they know the power of community. And I actually had a conversation about this the other day, about the power of community. I was on a podcast and I was thinking about the power of this model that I offer to you, that I'm inviting you to, and the power of community and networks. And I zoomed out, I was looking at the global wealth gap. And if you didn't know, don't fully quote me on these numbers, but it's around about 1% of the population own around 50% of the world's wealth. And then 50%, around 50% of the population own only 1 to 2% of the world's wealth between them. It's fucking angers me so much. It really grinds my gears. And zooming out of that, it makes sense to me, the way that society is set up. We've been segregated in a way where people haven't been buying local, they've been buying through big corporations, and ultimately or these bigger companies which have been in an umbrella of these big corporations. So through the masses buying through big corporations, the money has been funneled up to that 1%, creating an even bigger wealth gap. And we've been segregated and we've been divided and we've been conditioned in a way to not spend locally. And ultimately, that's taken money out of the local community, which has made us struggle even more. And why would we not want to support each other? Why would we not want to support our friends? Why would we not want to join our friends in business? Why would we not want to give our money to the people in our network? Why would we not want our friends to succeed? Because we've been conditioned in a sense of lack and scarcity and fear and competition. We've been conditioned to compete against one another. The old economy rewarded individual climbing, climb the ladder, compete for promotions, outperform your peers. But that's not the way anymore. Community is the new currency. Networks create opportunity. Collaboration beats competition. Shared knowledge accelerates growth, and collective momentum creates leverage. The new economy rewards network strength. Your community matters more than ever. The people that you surround yourself with matter more than ever, because they're the people that are going to lift you up. They're going to support you. Your network is your net worth. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you collaborating with? What conversations are you having with people? What environments are you placing yourself in? What kind of person is this causing you to be? What kind of things are you doing because of where you're placing yourself and the people that you're surrounding yourself with? Because the fact of the matter is, communities can accelerate growth, but they can also break you as well. You are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So who are you surrounding yourself with? You're fully encouraged to put yourself in a community that will support you, accelerate your growth in ways that isolated individuals simply can't match. We can't do everything alone. The strengths you have complement the weaknesses I have, and vice versa. And this is how we support one another. We're all so very beautifully individual. And the power that I have complements the power that you have. We all have different threads of power that we can support each other with. We all have different levels and sorry, my dog's just started barking. Like, what are you barking at? We all have also different threads of medicine and magic that we can bring to the mix to support each other in rising. And this is why we're seeing the rise of network-based business models across the world, because we're coming to this realization that we can't do it all alone. This is not something that we do alone. We do this together in community, and especially closing the wealth gap. When we're bringing our money in community and circulating our money in community to support each other in all of the ways. So when it comes to the wealth frequency shift, this is one of those communities, a collaborative community, a co-creative community, where we come together and our truth is the business plan. Self-led individuals are coming together and they're gathering to rise. The wealth frequency shift is built around 3 simple pillars. First off is frequency. Very, very focused on frequency because, like I said earlier, our frequency is one of the most important things that we can focus on in respects to shifting the world and shifting the collective frequency as well. This includes your mindset, your emotional regulation, your discipline, and your self-leadership. Because without that foundation, people will sabotage themselves. And then we've got brand. So your personal brand that you build, this is your voice, this is your message, this is your mission. The internet has made personal brands incredibly powerful. We can quite literally make money being ourselves. Maybe you've heard that song before, paid to exist. We are in that paradigm. We can get paid to exist. And this is a network model where we can, through supporting each other, come back to true health, true freedom, and sovereignty. And I go into this deeper in the Regenerative Wealth Path video that's available in the free portal. And then third, we've got systems. So this is leverage systems that allow income to grow beyond your individual time. These are the systems that we have within the wealth frequency shift. This is the high ticket affiliate marketing aspect. This is the regenerative wealth aspect, which again, I go into deeper in the regenerative wealth path in the free portal. So when these 3 things come together, frequency, brand, and systems, what happens is people come together to collaborate and co-create and create sustainable, ethical wealth together in conscious community. The system we use to implement this model is through a company called Enagic. So we partner with this reputable 52-year-old company, 52 years this year in June. And what Enagic do is they produce high-level water technology designed to support better hydration and wellness. They also create other technologies to support us with our health. EMF harmonizers, Ukon, which are curcumin supplements that really support inflammation and respiratory, in soaps, in supplements, in teas. We're very big on water though. Water is the foundation of life. Water is life. We're 70% water, so it's very, very important that we're fueling ourselves with the best water. So this is the baseline of this company. But beyond the product itself, the business model allows people to build global distribution networks. So instead of relying on one employer, what people do is they get to build community-based income streams. And through that, it's ownership, it's collaboration, and it's a model that rewards leadership and contribution. This is what it's about. The more you put into yourself, the more you put into your business, the more you are rewarded. The more you serve, the more you support people, the more you make an impact, the more you are rewarded. Not just monetary, but energetics, in the income, no, in the impact that you make through making the income that you do. And that far supersedes the income, is the impact, is the lives that you are a part of changing whilst changing your own life. This is what it's about. And this is how we're rising together in conscious community. So you get to position yourself for the new economy. You get to join the wealth frequency shift. You get to build leadership. You get to build ownership. You get to build community. Everything that we've talked about tonight comes back to one thing: leadership, leading yourself, leading your finances, leading your contribution to the world. The wealth frequency shift is a space for people who are ready to step into that level of responsibility. It's for people who want to grow personally while building something meaningful. And like I said at the start of this video, up until midnight tonight, Bali time, so you've got a little over 3 hours from the time I say this, you can lock into the wealth frequency shift on the Ascension or Sovereignty years for 50% off the life of your membership. This can save you anywhere between £666 per year, all the way up to £2,664 for the year. So this is a great time for you to get involved for sure. And there's also an option. I give initiatory mentorship when you start your Enagic business with me. And now there's also an option right now. I have space, I have capacity for long-term coaching as well for 3 months. So that's available too as you move. I've only got 3 spaces for that currently. So yeah, the future belongs to self-leadership. You get to explore the wealth frequency shift. If you haven't seen the regenerative wealth path yet, it's a 30-minute video. It's in the free portal that you've already registered for. Go and take a look, go and take a watch. You'll get to know the career plan and the structure behind it and the way that we work, and also everything that's included within the wealth frequency shift, where your truth is the business plan and self-led individuals gather to rise. The world is changing so quickly right now. Old models are weakening, new models are emerging, but opportunity always appears during periods of transition. The question is, are you going to observe the shift, or are you going to position yourself within it? Because if you feel called to explore building inside this new model, building inside a community of people that are doing the same, I invite you to reach out. If you do have any questions, my inbox is open. I'm here to chat. I'm here to support. Because self-leadership isn't just personal growth anymore. It's economic protection. And this is how we build a better world together. You were not born for stability. You were born for leadership. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your energy. And like I said, my inbox is open. So if you have any questions, and if you want to, if you want to learn more, there's more, like I said, the regenerative wealth path. And if you want to talk to me, my inbox is open. I'm here for you. And yeah, we rise together in conscious community, making the world a better place, making an impact whilst making an income. I will see you next week. I love you so much. Mwah.